Hello everyone. So in the last video we have had a look on the fundamentals of analog input, how the 5 voltage is the 5 voltage input is divided into 1024 pieces and assigned to the values from 0 to 1023. So in today's video we will see how we can simply, let's say, how we can calculate, oh no, I'm sorry, how he can write the code to read the analog values, fundamentally talking. So we always know, because we have seen something about the digital output, right? And we have used a keyword called digital write, right? So this breaks into two pieces, digital and write. So digital means we are playing around with digital signal, and write means you are giving output. So if you are writing something, that means you are giving an output from your brain, right? Like that. So from this understanding, can you tell me what is the keyword we are supposed to give for an analog input? Okay, what can this be? So since this is analog, instead of the word digital, we will use the keyword analog. Okay, so it was output, so we said it right. Okay, but in our case we are going to take the input. So instead of write, what can that be? The opposite word of the write, what is that? Read. So read means you are taking an input. So let's say if you are reading a book, that means you are taking the input from the book to yourself. You are taking the knowledge as the input, or you are taking the context as the input to your brain, right? So this is the keyword we are supposed to use to make an analog input, to read an analog value. Compare these two things, you will get the point. Okay, so to give a digital output we say digital write, to get an analog input we say analog read. Okay, so I will write the keyword analog read here. Okay, because why I am writing it here instead of here is, that means why I am writing inside the void loop instead of void setup is, we have to continuously read the particular pin. For example, if I am taking this, let's say I am connecting a sensor to the A0 and reading the sensor value. Okay, so any moment I am looking at the serial monitor or anything, any display, to know the sensor value, that should be the real time value, right? At the particular moment value only I want to see. So I have to write inside the void loop. That is why then only it will repetitively keep reading the value. Then only at any moment if I see the value, I will get the real time value. If I write it inside the void setup, the analog read will work only. What happened? Okay, so the analog will ignore this thing, guys. So the analog read will read only run only one time. So only one time only the sensor input will be printed. Read it. So if you come later, you will see the first reading only. The rest of the time there is no reading happening, because void setup will not run second time, only one time. So that is why I am writing inside the void loop. Okay. So since you know the keywords, then what we should do? So the rule is we should have two brackets and a semicolon. So inside the bracket, what we should write is whatever the pin we want to read, we have to write the pin number. Okay. So I want you to recall the digital write. What we normally do in the digital write is we are giving the pin number and the output, high or low, because we have to deal with two things. So I'm going to give an output to this pin and it is high. But when it comes to analog read, we are getting an input and we don't know what is the input is coming, what is the value is coming. So we only say please read the pin number. So then we know the value. By reading we will know the value. Okay, so the only thing involved here is the pin number. So if I am connecting A0, the sensor to the A0, so I have to pass this number there. Okay. So assuming I am connecting to the whatever the sensor to the A0, so I will say A0. So now the system is capable of reading A0 value. Okay. Now another thing I forgot, sorry I didn't forget, we have to do is inside void setup we have to say something. because you may remember, as I already said you in the initial in the beginning of this series, in the void if you are going to use a pin, we have to say whether it is an output or input pin. I'm sorry guys, we have to say it to the Arduino, right? So where do we have to say it is inside the void setup? Okay, so what is the keyword for that? Pin mode, right? I hope you can remember this. Okay, so pin mode, we have to tell the pin number and input or output, right? So you may remember when we are using the LED scenarios, we say it pin mode, but the pin number 7, if it is 77, and then output. Okay, so now in our scenario we are using A0 pin as an input, so we have to mention that as well. Okay, okay, so how we have to change is, we have to say pin mode, okay, A0 input, because it's an input, right? You are going, that means you are saying, please remember, in this scenario or in this whatever the running or in this session, I am going to use pin number A0 as an input pin, please remember this. Then I am saying analog read, so Arduino will know input, now it is analog input, or he is going to take analog input. And also we know analog pins are normally used to take analog inputs, because it is a prefixed pin, right? A0, not 0 but A0, right? So anyway, it goes along with the Arduino will know analog thing he is going to do. And read, I am saying read, so read is also input, so it is compatible with that input, right? Input and read, so both are same, so nothing contradictory, no problems, everything will go along, right? So one more thing I have to, so you know these two things are okay. So now what we can do with the analog read value, because if you are giving an output, you are saying okay, digital write, and the particular pin and the things and the value, and the pin will have the particular voltage value, right? 5 voltage or ground. Then if you have an LED will be on. But when it comes to analog read, what we are doing is we are getting an input, right? So A0 will get a value, and the value is coming to the particular pin, and we are getting the value. So now you have read the value, so what you will do with the value, that is the question. Okay, so one thing, you can print the value in the serial monitor, because you know now how to print the values in the serial monitor. You can do the serial communication and serial print, serial begin, serial printing. Otherwise, normally what we do is we first store it in a place, the value. Okay, so how do you store a value in a place? Using variables, because variable has the capacity to what? To store a value in a particular memory location. Okay, let's say X. Okay, so how we can store our analog value in a memory location called X? Okay, you know these things, let's try to apply, because that is why we studied about the variables. So first I will define declare a global variable X, see int X. Okay, so now what I will do is I am going to give a value assigning to X. What I will do is X, I will say X is equal to analog read A0. So that means the analog read value will be assigned to X. So when the void loop is running first time, immediately at the moment the analog read value A0 will be assigned to X. Okay, so A0 analog read value will be added here. Whenever we want, we can use it. Okay, so the next time, very fast, when the void loop is running next time, analog A0 will be again read, and the value will be assigned to X. So if the analog value have changed inside, so the new value will be coming here, and it will be again assigned to X. So it will take it away, again assign. Even if it is the same value, it is reassigned, because every time we are reassigning, right, X, taking the same value out and putting it inside. You get the point, right? So now I want to tell one more thing, why I am saying int X, because we know the values coming from here are from 0 to 1023, because 1024 units. So all of the numbers 0, 1, 2 up to 1023 are integer values. There is no point of 1.5. No way, because we have units in separate units 1, 2, 3 like that up to 1023. Okay guys, so int will be totally fine. Okay guys, so the rest of the scenario I will continue in the next video guys.